The origin of the deer dance. It was when, from between the crinkly, glistening clouds in the west, the evening sun's red and slanting rays poured down upon a mossy glade, and pampas grass all around wavered and shone like white fire. As I was tired and dozing there, the rustling of the wind began to be more and more human in speech, until it told me of the true spirit of the deer dance, held nowadays in the mountains and plains of the Kitakami region. When the area was still all high grasses and black woods, Kaju had moved with his grandfather and family from the east of the Kitakami River to clear small fields and plant foxtail and cocksfoot millet. One day Kaju fell from a chestnut tree and slightly hurt his left knee. At such a time, people would go to a hot spring in the western mountains, there to build a little hut and stay to cure the injury. One fine day, Kaju too set off, with provisions, miso paste and a pot on his back, limping a little, going slowly, slowly through autumn fields of silver-plumed pampas grass. After he crossed several small brooks and stony beds, the range loomed large and clear, and by the time he could discern each mountain tree, like hair-capped moss, the sun had slipped far to the west and hung, palely glittering, above a stand of 10 blue alder trees. Kaju dropped his pack upon the turf, took out his dumplings of horse chestnut and foxtail millet, and began to eat. Clumps of pampas grass undulated one after another, and the waves as they spread filled the whole meadow with pure white light. Kaju, munching dumplings, thought how fine grew the black straight trunks of the alder trees, tall in the pampas grass. However, after such a long, hard walk, one's stomach tends to feel rather full. That's why Kaju didn't finish a conker-sized piece of his conker dumpling. "What if I gives this unto the deer? Hey, you deer, come eat," said Kaju, almost to himself, leaving it under a white bog-star flower. Then, shouldering his pack once more, he slowly, slowly began to walk. Going a little way, though, he realized that he'd forgotten his hand towel and hurried back. That black stand of alders looked so close he thought it would be nothing at all to return to the spot. But then, suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. Deer were there, for sure. He could sense them. At a guess, there were at least 5 or 6, treading softly, moist noses pointing right out. Taking care not to touch the pampas grass, Kaju tiptoed on the moss, quietly nearing them. No doubt the deer were after that leftover conker dumpling. "Aha, them deer came right away, didn't they?" murmured Kaju with a throaty chuckle, and in a crouch, slowly, slowly he got closer. From behind a clump of pampas grass, Kaju stuck out his face, then, surprised, ducked down again. There were 6 deer in that turfy glade, going round and around in a circle. Kaju peeped through the grass, holding his breath. The sun was now snagged right in the top of an alder tree, so the highest limb shone with a mysterious hue, a blue, breathing creature standing there, looking down at the herd of deer. Each single plume of pampas grass was radiant silver, and how fine that day were the coats of the deer. Kaju, delighted, knelt carefully on one knee and gazed in fascination. The deer made a big circle going round and around. but looking closely, they all appeared to have attention fixed on the middle of the circle, for their heads, ears and eyes were all pointing in that direction, and besides, from time to time, as if pulled, they broke the circle and went to take 2 or 3 faltering steps towards the centre. Of course, in the middle of the circle was that scrap of Kaju's conker dumpling, although it certainly wasn't the dumpling which caught the deer's attention, but seemingly Kaju's white hand towel, lying beside it on the turf, like a sideways V. Kaju gingerly bent his injured leg with both hands and knelt down properly on the moss. The circling of the deer became slower and slower, and one after another each put a hoof in the circle as if to dart in, but then withdrew as though frightened. Trot, trot, trotting quietly around, the tread of their hooves resounded pleasantly through the depths of the meadow's black earth. Then the deer stopped circling and all gathered up over here, facing the hand towel. Kaju suddenly had a keen ringing in his ears. He shook and trembled. Dear thoughts, like the waving of ripe grass in the wind, pulsated through him. Kaju indeed doubted his own ears, because he could actually hear what the deer was saying. Oi, shall I go take a peep? Nah, it be too risky. Us'd better watch a bit more. These were the kinds of words he heard. Remember that fox who went and had that thingamy go off bang in his mouth? No fun at all, that would be, right? Not for no measly little conker dumpling. Nah, that be exactly right. These were the kinds of words he heard. Might be alive, you know. It do look in parts like a creature, right enough. These were the kinds of words he heard. Then at last one of them seemed to have made up his mind, and with his back straight stepped from the circle and went into the middle. They all kept still, watching. The deer went forward, neck stretched out as far as it would go, forelegs poised, tightly, tensely, slowly nearing the hand towel. Then, all of a sudden, he gave a terrific jump into the air and rushed running back. The surrounding 5 were about to scatter in all directions, but as the first deer stopped still, the others, relieved now, ambled back and gathered in front of him. How was it? What was it? Yon whitey, longish thing. Oh, it be a lengthways wrinkled job anyways. Ah, then it can't be alive, can it? As like as not a toadstool or what have you, right? A poison toadstool at that. Nah, it be no toadstool. I reckons it be a creature. No, be that so then? If he be a creature, and with a load of wrinkles, then he must be an oldie. Ah, he be an old sentry. A blue and white sentry. A bluey pale sentry. This time, shall I go take a peep? Ah, go see. It be safe enough. Won't he bite? Nah, he be safe. Then another deer went slowly, slowly forward. Nodding and bobbing their heads, the other 5 stayed here, watching. The one that advanced seemed so scared, kept pulling all 4 legs in, rounding his back, then cautiously stretching out again, moving slowly, slowly forward. Finally, he got to within a step of the hand towel and stretched out his neck as far as it would go, sniffing. But with a sudden leap into the air, he came fleeing back. They were all startled and about to run, but he stopped still, so relieved they put their 5 heads together with his 1 head. How was it? Why did they run away? Well, he seemed like to take a bite out of me. That's why. Exactly what is it, anyways? I dunno. Whatever, he be white and blue and both spotty. What do he smell like? Do he got a smell? He smells like a willow leaf. He do that. That's funny. Is he breathing? Do he breathe? Well, I didn't take no notice of that. I'll go take a peep this time, shall I? Ah, go see then. The 3rd deer now went slowly, slowly forward. Just then there was a slight breeze and the hand towel gave a little flutter, so the deer approaching startled and froze while the others all flinched. However, in time, he appeared to calm himself down and again went slowly, slowly forward until he stretched out his nose to the towel. Over here, the other 5 were bobbing and nodding to each other. At that moment, the one that had gone forward reared back on his hind legs, then pranced away in escape. Why did they run away? I got the creeps, that's why. Is he breathing? Well, he don't sound like he's breathing, and he don't seem to have no mouth neither. Do he have an head? I couldn't really figure out no head neither. Ah, well then, shall I go this time? The 4th deer went forward. This one is timid too. Even so, he went right up to the hand towel and, obviously steeling himself, put out his nose the merest touch, then withdrew quickly, charging straight back. Oh, it be a soft something, you know. Like mud? Nah. Like grass? Nah. Like mountain vine seed fluff? It be a mite stiffer than that. What is it then? Anyways, 'tis alive. So it is it? Ah, he smells right sweaty, he do. Shall I go take a trip over then? The 5th deer now went slowly, slowly forward. This deer looked to be quite a clown. He lowered his head right down over the hand towel, and assuming a posture of complete puzzlement, he cocked his head to one side, making the other 5 leap with laughter. Showing off even more at this, the deer put out his tongue and gave the hand towel a great rolling lick. But then, looking suddenly scared, with mouth agape and tongue lolling, he fled like the wind in retreat. Terribly startled they all were too. Oi, did they get bit? Did they get hurt? Brrr. Did they get thy tongue pulled out? Brrr. What happened? What happened? What happened then? Oi! Whew! Ah! My tongue has got all shrunk. What kind of taste did he have? He don't have no taste at all. Do they figure he be a creature? I dunno what he be. This time thee go. I. The last one now went slowly, slowly forward. They were all curiously nodding and bobbing their heads, watching, when the deer who advanced, after putting his head down and sniffing for a while at the hand towel, with an air of total lack of concern, grabbed the towel in his mouth and brought it back, at which the deer all pranced up and down. Oi! Thee did it! Thee did it! All us had to do was take that one off, and there'd be nowt to be afeared of. For sure, he be nowt but a great big dried out slug. Oi, everybody, I be about to sing a song, so all of thee circle around like. This deer stood in the middle and began to sing while the others circled round and around the hand towel. Yon treasure in the middle of the meadow, a scrunchy, scrumptious conquered dumpling. Conquered dumplings be fine, but yon what's it stretched out beside, old bluey pale sentry, be nowt but a bother. Old bluey pale sentry be floppy soft, don't bark and don't cry. Skinny, lanky and spotty he be, can't figure neither mouth nor head, a longish sunny spells dried out slug. Run, circle, dance. Again and again the deer spun in like the wind, prodding the hand towel with their antlers, trampling it with their hooves. Kaju's poor hand towel got all muddied, and here and there even had holes in it. Now the circling of the deer became slower and slower. Oh, all us can do now is eat yon dumpling. Oh, boiled dumpling at that. Oh, right round it be and all. Oh, munchy munch. Oh, scrunchy scrumptious. Oh, yum. They scattered then to gather again from all directions around the conquered dumpling. From the first deer to approach the hand towel, one by one they each took a nibble. The sixth deer merely got a pea-sized crumb. The deer once more formed a circle, walking round and around. Kaju had been watching the deer so intently that by now he felt like one himself and almost ran out to join in. However, noticing his own big hand right there, he thought, "Ah, well, no good," and held his breath again. The sun was now snagged right in the middle upper branches of an alder tree and was shining with a yellowish light. The circling of the deer became gradually slower again, and busily they nodded to each other until at last they lined up to face the sun, standing in worshipful attention. Kaju, as if drawn into a dream, gazed entranced. The deer, standing furthest to the right, sang in a high treble. Alder tree, in thy green leaves all a cluster, jingle, jangle, clang, yon cymbal sun hangs. At that voice, like a crystal flute, Kaju, closing his eyes, trembled in thrill. The deer, second from the right, suddenly leapt up, and with his body in wave-like motions knit his way between the others, bowing in time to the sun, after which he returned to his place, stopped still, and sang, Sun, upon thy back, alder tree, thee too, shattered and shining, a steely mirror.嘉十also, from his hiding place, worshipped that magnificent sun and alder tree. The deer, third from the right, bowing his head busily up and down, sang. Sun, even going down behind our alder tree, gives pampas grass a glitter, silvery light, dazzle and bright. Indeed, the pampas grass blazed like pure white fire. In the glittering grass that be so bright, straight stands our alder's shin, quite tall and fine, and his shadow long in a line. The fifth deer, hanging his head low, began his song almost in a murmur. Round the roots of the grass that be so bright, twilights are falling, hurrying night, and in this here mossy meadow not even an ant crawls in sight. All this time the deer had their heads hanging down, but the sixth deer suddenly raised his head proudly high and sang, Down by the grass roots below the bright, lonely she blooms, a bog star white. Ah, so lovely, lovely a mite. Then, with short, sharp whistles, the deer all leapt and began a rapid, wild, frenzied circling. From the north, a cold wind blew, and that alder tree really did glitter like a shattered, steely mirror, almost as if its leaves tinkled and chinked as they rustled, and the plumes of pampas grass, they too seemed to join the deer and whirl around in the dance.嘉十completely forgot any difference between himself and the deer, and crying out, "Haw! Keep it up! Keep going!" he jumped out from behind the clump. Astonished, the deer at once reared back on their hind legs. Then, like fallen leaves blown by a gust of wind, they fled with forms aslant. Spreading the silver waves of pampas grass, splashing the glowing rays of sunset, further and further away they fled, and after they had gone, the grass went on with its infinite glistening, like a wake rippling the surface of a quiet lake. With a wry smile,嘉十picked up his muddied, pierced hand towel, and he too resumed his walk towards the west. And oh yes, I must add that I heard this story in the sunset of a mossy meadow from the clear, transparent autumn wind.